Now we're going to talk about the next category of must-have apps, and this is human assistance apps. So we've looked a little bit at OCR apps and apps that use AI either to read text or to describe scenes. And now we're going to look at ones that use human agents to do the same. Warren, do you have anything to say by way of introduction to this category?
I really like the human assistant apps. However, sometimes I think people need to have some caution when you use these things. And probably as it stands now, though, we probably only have two. And those are the Aira, the one that we are going to be putting the interview that we had with Ryan and Irene. And then I think the second one is the Be My Eyes. Do you guys know if there's another third one that I'm not remembering?
I don't think there is these days. I think those are the two.
There was, I think the first one was the Be Specular, and Be Specular was not like a live thing. So you take a picture of something and send it in, and then they will tell you what it is. Now, of course, the problem with Be Specular was that sometimes maybe someone is not holding the phone right and things like that. But with these two, which is live human interaction, so one is being guided on how to hold the phone. And as you can hear in our interview, though, Ira even goes a step farther, um, doing doing things for you right there within the app itself. And so all I can say, is that by default, uh, these apps launch the back camera, so there's no you're not being captured on your selfie camera or anything like that. So it's usually always the back camera that is triggered. And so people should keep that in mind. And if you want something like maybe you want to see how your makeup is or whatever, and probably I'm sure that you guys should be able to toggle on the front camera. Is it possible, Ed? I haven't used Ira, so I don't know.
Yeah, Aira will typically use the back camera when you are calling Aira. So you'll want to, if you want to do a selfie, you'll want to turn your phone around. It's not using the front camera normally.
Yeah, but let's say a young lady is trying to go out on a dinner night or date night or whatever, and wants to see how she's doing her makeup, how she looks. Could she not toggle the camera to
I,
say
th-
the
I think
selfie camera?
I think you can. It's probably easy to turn the phone around, but I think it has a toggle. I haven't tried to do that. I've never particularly needed to use the front camera on an Ira call. I've always been happy with the back one. So you could toggle it, but you could also just turn the phone around.
Yeah, I think turning the back of the phone though would make you superimposed because the back camera is too powerful for selfies. And so I'm sure though that one should be able to toggle to the front camera.
Yeah, I'm sure you can.
Yeah.
It's not something I've tried, but yeah, I imagine you will be able to. So the two apps Warren's mentioned are Be My Eyes and Ira. They're both good. Um, they both have their different uses, I think. I'll talk a little bit about Be My Eyes because we don't have a feature with them, though it may be something we seek to do in future weeks. Be My Eyes, broadly speaking, offers two broad services. It's free, so you can connect with a volunteer. They have millions of volunteers literally signed up to help blind people use the app. What happens then is that the phone camera of the blind person appears on the phone screen of the volunteer. So that's how it works. There's nothing else to it on the volunteer side. So you can use that for anything you feel comfortable using Be My Eyes with. And they will, as I say, get the camera feed on their phone screen and will be able to help you out. They also have specialized services in Be My Eyes. So um, if you want help from a company that's registered, then that can often be the best way to get it. So, for instance, Microsoft and Google are on Be My Eyes. I found it quicker to connect to the Microsoft Disability Answer Desk through Be My Eyes. It's quicker than it is phoning them up. Google similarly, response times are good. In the UK, we have a banking group on there, and they have several banking brands which appear. You also have help with COVID tests, and there's a pregnancy test thing, I think, on there, and RNIB also appear in their specialised help section. Aira is a little bit different. It's a paid app, and you're going to hear from Aira in a minute. And they have more features which enable them to help you. So they do obviously get your phone camera, but as Ryan, who we interview from Aira in a minute, explains, there's a whole dashboard which sits behind that. I'm going to briefly show you the Aira app now, and then we will hear from Aira in the next section. I'm going to unlock my phone.
Device unlocked. 1735. Iberian. Messages as one note of Liberlink. The Facebook. Messenger. Aira. Double tap to
There's
activate.
the Aira app.
Hold the long press. Aira. Loading. Aira. Open navigation tool. Button.
So I'm on the Aira home screen. I am going to swipe, I think, rather than run my finger up and down the screen.
Oh. Unlabeled.
The unlabeled doesn't actually do anything. It's not a control.
Apply a free access offer. Apply a free access offer. Double tap to activate.
So you'll hear Ryan say that whilst you pay for Aira and Aira minutes, it is possible to get Aira for free in certain circumstances. This is where you would go to get that.
All Aira for free.
This is the main thing, calling Aira for free. That's what you'll want to do. It says for free because you get a free 5 minutes. If you have a plan, your plan will kick in after the 5 minutes.
Start call with a message button. Start call with a message.
Start a call with a message. You might be in a situation where you don't want to talk particularly. Maybe you are in a conference or something, and you want Aira to help you view some slides that you know are going to come up. Much better to send a discreet message under the table, as it were, rather than while the speaker's speaking, you go, "Hello, Aira, I'd like some help." That might be a bit weird in a conference with lots of people. And that's it. That's the home screen. I will show you one more thing in the menu, open navigation tool. That's the menu button.
Menu. Oh.
So it says home there. That's not the control to get to home. It's simply telling you whereabouts in the app's hierarchy you are. There are some screens which have several levels down. That wouldn't say home in that instance. That's me, obviously. There's home to go to home. Usage tells you how much you've used. You can view details of previous calls. You can rate calls. You can see which agents you had. I'm going to go into account.
Loading 0%. Progress bar. Aira. Open navigation tool. Button. Account. Profile. View details. 1 of 7.
So there I could go and change my email address, my payment details, all the rest of it.
Photos. View details. 2 of 7.
Photos. So photos are really interesting. Ryan talks about this. You can have Aira take photos of things that you want, and they will be in that part of your Aira app. They will also email them to you, by the way, so you don't have to go into there if you don't want to, and then you can take them wherever you like and put them on Facebook or whatever. Riddershire, that's rideshare. Aira will integrate with Lyft. So you can have an Aira book you a cab anyway. They could go onto a website and book it. All the integration means is that they can see it slightly more sensibly on the Aira dashboard. They used to offer Uber. They don't anymore. They only offer Lyft.
Invite friends. View details.
You can invite friends to Aira and you each get minutes.
Upgrade plan. View details.
We could upgrade our plan. I have a fairly basic plan with Aira, but you could buy more minutes.
Share minutes. View details. 6 of 7.
You can share minutes with someone. So maybe, you know, someone who can't afford a plan, or maybe you can't each afford a plan. You can share the minutes together.
Connect with us. View details.
And you can follow them on Facebook and Twitter and everywhere else. I think that's all I need to show with the Aira app. You know, it's a fairly self-explanatory app. I don't think we need to call them to demonstrate it, but that is the app.
Thanks, Ed. You know, I'm kind of sitting here thinking about the two, you know, Be My Eyes and Aira. It seems like as you indicated, though, it seems like each has a different need that they feel. And I think it's important that probably one should have both, um, especially if you're someone who wants to just only have, someone tell you, hey, how does this thing look and things like that, or you need help with some other company, like you indicated, you even have a banking or a bank there in the UK. I think that's really neat. I didn't know that some banks even subscribe to Be My Eyes. And a lot of times people would prefer to call than, go on the website or use an app because they're not very familiar with either their touch screen or with the computer. It does make sense to be able to have to talk to someone, at a bank and things like that. So I didn't know that Be My Eyes have that. That's really nice that they have such a thing.
Yeah,
And of course, with Aira, as we talked on the interview, you want to take a picture of something, you want to make sure that you have a good looking picture and things like that. I think this is where you would need to use a service like Aira.
and how I use them as well. And this is not how everybody uses them. Some people use Aira for things which I would use Be My Eyes. But let me tell you what I do. I was in Brussels. I was negotiating with the EU at the time. There was a coffee machine in the hotel room, and I couldn't get it to work. For me, that's a Be My Eyes job. There's nothing particularly confidential about it. There's nothing I need anyone to be particularly trained about. No one's going to know about this coffee machine anyway. So I just need to know if it's got lights on, like if there are buttons on it.
That's
So
right.
I used Be My Eyes for that. Now, if I've got some mail that might be confidential, I might be wrong here. I would rather entrust that to someone I'm paying money to, and quite frankly, I can go after if my confidential information gets leaked. I don't feel I have the same comeback on Be My Eyes with however many million volunteers. I would rather do that through Aira. Similarly, navigation-wise, I can save preferences with Aira. So if I would rather have directions described as left, right, backwards, as opposed to a clock face, Aira will remember that because I'll save it on my profile. They'll also remember how much information I want. Like, do I want every building? Do I want a little bit? I can save those preferences with Aira. I can't with Be My Eyes, and Aira can find me on a map, whereas Be My Eyes can't. It's horses for courses. Some people with Aira use it all the time. I'm a bit more selective.
And I just want to mention this in passing that sometimes it's not everything that one would really want to have someone take a look at. And I don't care whether it's Aira or Be My Eyes, but for example, I'm not sure that I would necessarily have someone try to help me read my credit card information. I don't have any doubt that those people would want to give your information or anything or do a screenshot of what they're seeing. But I personally wouldn't want someone to give me or help me with such a thing, if you know what I mean. It's just one has to use common sense here. The things that are very personal, just like in our lives, we have things that are personal, things that we don't want anyone to know. And I would just caution about, maybe things like that.
But also, you have to, you sort of have to work out what's best for your situation. Like, I've got a wife who can read that if in extremis, if the app fails, so have you. If someone lives alone and they are, I don't know, 30 to 50 miles away from a bank, maybe an Aira is the only thing they've got to do that, because they don't want to ask their neighbor. They can't get to the bank readily to have them do that. I think if you must use a service for that, I would probably use Aira, unless of course your bank happens to be on Be My Eyes.
Yeah, I'm just kind of, it makes sense, but I'm just talking about, hey, I want you to help me read my credit card number. I want to write it down,
Yeah, me
that
too.
kind of thing.
That's what I'm talking about too. Like, I have options to do that don't involve Aira. Some people don't have options because they're miles away from a bank. They live on their own. They don't know or trust their neighbors. Maybe Aira is their best shot.
Yeah, or if you have one of those apps that do offline scanning, then I probably could use that.
Yeah, if you trust it, if it's good.
The
You've
whole
got to,
thing, is a
yeah,
catch-22,
of course it is.
because anyone can take a screenshot of what is being seen. I'm not saying though that these people are like that, but you never know. There's always that one bad guy out there, and you
Of
never
course.
know when you run into such a person. But
Yeah,
so we
yeah.
have to be cautionary about what we expose out there and what we don't.
And we'll all have different risk appetites depending on the other tools in our toolbox available to us, like sighted wives or not. So,
Yeah.
you take different levels of risk dependent on, like, would you rather ask Ira or would you rather go downstairs in your block of flats and ask someone you don't know? You've got to at some point take choices, haven't you?
Yeah. But they're both the same in that aspect though, because someone downstairs and someone from Ira, you don't know either of those two.
Oh, no, it's different though, because Ira, you have come back, you have a contract. They are, there's a relationship with Ira. You're paying the money. I think you have come back. I'm not sure you do have come back off a downstairs neighbor in those circumstances. It's not Ira isn't a suite of volunteers. They're paid employees. I think there's a whole structure. I'm not saying I would do it. I'm just saying that faced with those two choices, I think one gives you more of a comeback than the other one does.
We do have, as blind people, we do have quite a challenge, but I think things are getting better, and it's one of those things that we just have to live with. But then, of course, we have to use our common sense when we're having this type of dealings and things like that. So
absolutely,
keep that in mind.
Do you Doug, or does Mrs. Doug use either Be My Eyes or Ira?
I know Daryl does use Aira quite often. Neither of us really use Be My Eyes since the last updates. It actually messes with our phone speakers, so we kind of both bounce off her Aira plan half the time.
Yeah, that's good. Austin, have you used Be My Eyes?
No, I've not used Be My Eyes.
And you don't have Aira in India yet?
Yeah, I can't use Aira in India.
No, but no, they're good. They do different things. One is free, obviously, so that's a good thing. But it is what it is.
And I think that Be My Eyes though is available everywhere. Would I be wrong to think it is?
It is. It is available everywhere.
Yeah, and the one thing I also
anywhere
like,
there's a Play Store, anyway. I'm sure you can get an APK if not.
And the one thing I like about these things is that actually they operate 24 hours, because sometimes I kind of feel guilty because I was trying to see whether my dishwasher was done or not. And it was like 11 something. This was over the summer. And I call Be My Eyes, and I'm saying to myself, oh my gosh, it's after 11 in the evening time. And I'm like, oh gosh. And I was telling the lady, I'm sorry, I'm calling late. She said, oh no, actually, I think she said she was in Australia or someplace like that. So I'm like, well, thanks.
Yeah, they're both 24 hours.
Yeah.
People say that, I think Ryan, we'll hear from him on the spotlight in a minute. He talks about the prices of Aira. And I know people that say it's much cheaper to get someone around for an hour a week to read your stuff than it is to have Aira. And I don't necessarily disagree with that. But I don't also think that that's what you're paying for with Aira, really. What you are paying for is convenience. If you're the sort of person that can shoehorn all your tasks that you need eyes for to 30 minutes a week, and there's never going to be anything that you need someone to look at outside of those 30 minutes, and you're going to remember absolutely everything and ask the person for those 30 minutes a week, then fine. But Aira operates 24/7. You always have access to a pair of eyes to look at something. So that is what you are paying for more, I think, than the minutes.